Hey everyone, today's video is going to be covering a bit more mature of a topic meant for 7th through 12th grade students. We believe it's an important yet difficult topic to talk about. It's also a confusing topic, and we often hear many different conflicting messages about it. It's our hope that throughout this series, you'd begin to realize when it comes to this topic, there's more to the story. Hey students, my name is Spencer, and today we're going to be talking about sex. Yes, I know sex is an awkward topic to talk about. However, we believe that the church should be the safest place in the world to talk about anything, including sex. When it comes to the conversation of sex, many of us have questions about what God thinks about it. Questions like, what is God's plan for sex? Can God forgive me if I've already made a mistake? Or what is allowed when it comes to sex? All these questions, and many of the messages we've heard from other Christians about sex, can only make it feel like God only cares about one thing, or one act, or one mistake. But as we get started, I want you to know that the truth is, when it comes to God's plans for sex, there's more to the story. Paul, one of the early followers of Jesus, wrote a letter to the people in the city of Corinth. Corinth was known for being a very sexually driven culture, and there were a lot of messed up things happening there because of that. When some of the people in Corinth began to follow Jesus, they had a lot of questions about what it meant to follow Jesus in the midst of their sexually driven culture, and how Jesus would want them to live. In Paul's first letter to the Corinthian church, he shares a good amount with them about God's plans for sex. And in chapter 6, verse 12, he even quotes a common phrase from the Corinthian culture to show them a little about what God desires. He writes this, "I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything." Paul speaks right into the Corinthian culture and into our world today and basically says, look, I know it's popular to do whatever you feel like doing, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. And in a particularly secular culture, Paul reminds the Corinthians that just because you can do something doesn't mean it's the best thing for you to do. Think about it. In the rest of life, there's plenty of things you are capable of doing, and that doesn't mean that they're good for you. I mean, I might be capable of eating 10 Big Macs for lunch on a really, really hungry day, but that would certainly not be good for me or beneficial to my life. So when it comes to the things we desire sexually, what if we started asking this? Is it good for me? Or is this the best thing for my life? Part of becoming a mature adult is learning to think about and choosing what's best for us, instead of going with what's culturally normal or what's normal for our friend groups. Another thing for us to think about is this. Is this what's best for everyone involved? See, whether you're sexually active, thinking about someone sexually, or consuming sexual content on a screen, there's almost always another person involved. We can't just think about ourselves when it comes to this topic. So instead of merely asking, is this best for me? We should be asking, is this best for we? This way of thinking is helpful for everyone, whether you're a follower of Jesus or not. But for those who follow Jesus, it's not optional. This is the way Jesus has called us to live. He even said that the greatest commandment is to love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus was so clear that how you treat people and how they treat you is a big deal to him. We all want to be in the kind of relationship where each person looks out for other person's best interest. This is what we set ourselves up for when we follow the instruction and wisdom of Paul, to not be mastered by anything and to not do just everything because you're capable. If we follow this, the rest of our lives and our relationships will be set up for much more success. Living like Paul outlined for the Corinthians is not easy. It's much easier just to do whatever you feel like doing in the moment and to let yourself be mastered by your sexual desires. It can especially be difficult to begin to live according to God's plan for sex when you've messed up in the past. But no matter your experience, I want you to know that your past actions don't have to determine your next actions. You can begin to live a life of sexual integrity today, no matter what you've done in the past. As followers of Jesus, we can and should become people of sexual integrity. Integrity means someone who's trustworthy, honest, and looks out for others. They're the kind of people whose beliefs and words line up with their actions. They do as they say. This means honoring God and others. Sexual integrity is about more than just saving sex until marriage, or feeling guilty for not waiting. It's choosing to honor God and others in how you think about, treat, and value the people you date. Integrity is about the person you want to be. You can always choose to live with sexual integrity starting now by taking a next step to honor yourself and others. I want you to ask questions. Wrestle with what's true, listen to older, wiser people, and then decide for yourself. Here are a few steps that I believe you can take today. First, talk to God about who you really want to be. Tell him about any past sexual struggles you faced and tell him about the way you want to live differently moving forward. Ask him to help you live with sexual integrity. Second, talk to someone about how you plan to become that person. Share with them your past struggles and how you want to realign your life around God's plan for sex. I get that this is complicated, and it's not the kind of thing you want to talk about with just anybody. That's why we have small groups, as a safe place to have a hard conversation such as this. We truly believe that groups are the safest place to talk about anything and the best place to find freedom from your struggles. Living a life of sexual integrity is not an easy path, but it is the most rewarding. And if you choose this way of life, you might just find that when it comes to God's plan for sex, there really is more to the story.